What's up, everybody? This is Mr. View, and we are getting into World War II, right? The interwar period is still going on right now, but I'm going to introduce you to a couple very interesting characters and some interesting things going on in the world outside of the actual war. So, we're going to start today with Italy and this guy, Benito Mussolini, who is a very interesting figure. Now, he's not the nicest guy in the world, but he's just like kind of like Stalin and Hitler and those guys that are interesting characters throughout history, but not good guys. Okay, so Benito Mussolini, he actually was one of the leaders of Italy. Right, Italy was on the winning side of World War One, so they were the winners. Right, they were on the United States side, in England and France. They won, and so during this Treaty of Versailles, they thought we're going to get a good say and we're going to get what we want. But no, they did not get what they wanted, and so they were upset. They thought they were going to get a bunch of land, and they didn't get it, and so they were upset. Compounded by the fact that they lost a lot of people during World War One, a lot of soldiers and things, and then this kind of depression type stuff hits them, and there are a bunch of strikes within their country. Their taxes rise. They have revolts. They have high unemployment. So Italy's kind of a mess right after World War Two, and that's a problem, right? So we know when there's a lot of ton of unemployment or a lot of the people are very unhappy that things are going to happen. And sure enough, there's a revolt, and the king, although he is kind of supposed to be this all big powerful dude, not so much, right? Instead, it's Benito Mussolini and his fascist party. If you've heard of fascist before, it's not a good term. A fascist is an authoritarian or like a dictator type leadership. So they rule everything and with an iron hand. So if you're a fascist, generally you're looked upon very badly. And he's the guy that is the head of the fascist party. And in 1925, he gains control of Italy, right? He has intense nationalism or pride in his country. It's Italy or bust, baby. America, right? He thinks that Italy's the greatest, and he wants to make the Mediterranean an Italian lake once again. So he wants to go way back to the Roman Empire, if you will. He's violent, he's very disciplined, he's very authoritarian, and he wants to expand. He believes that Italy has a right to get other countries, to control those weaker countries, right? He's a very fiery speaker, and he has a lot of followers. He's a great speaker and attracts a big crowd, and they like what he has to say. He has henchmen do his dirty work. They're called the black shirts, and they use a lot of terror techniques. They use violence. They beat up people. They kill people to do what they want. If anybody's a critic of Mussolini, bam, the black shirts put him in check, put him a beat down or whatever. Eventually, Mussolini gets a nickname, Il Duce, right? Or Il Duce. He is that means the leader, and he is undoubtedly the leader of Italy at this point. To gain and keep power in Italy, he does a few things. He gets rid of all his rivals, right? He either has them killed, jailed, or exiled. They either get out of Dodge, they're thrown in jail, or he kills them. He uses censorship a lot. He censors anybody or any press or any pamphlets or anything that comes out. He makes sure it's censored, and it only says great things about him and bad things about people he doesn't like. That's a form of propaganda, as we have learned, right? Saying good things about your cause, bad things about somebody else's. He also rigs elections. Early on, while there were elections, he was making sure that the votes always went in his fascist party's favor. He uses spies, right? He uses spies throughout Italy to make sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing and saying what they're supposed to be saying. And if there is some little pockets of uprisings, they are put in check. Using spies is very effective for him. He also indoctrinates the youth. It's really important for these countries, these authoritarian dictator types, to get the youth, because you start there, and then as they get older, you have this built-in army, right? So he does this. He starts with the youth, and it's a pretty interesting way to get people to follow him. They have youth camps for these kids. And then at the top of the school buildings or the classrooms, they would say, Mussolini is always right. You might think, well, big deal. It's a sign that says Mussolini is always right. But if you're a 5-year-old kid and you look up every day and you see Mussolini is always right, and then the next day Mussolini is always right, and then for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of days you see the same thing, you start to believe it, right? And so with that and the propaganda, the kids with these youth camps where they learn to be these Italian soldiers and really blindly follow Mussolini, it was a big thing there. He said that women should win the battle of motherhood. They're not supposed to be soldiers, but they're supposed to win the battle of motherhood, which means bring us strong Italian soldiers, right? If they had 14 kids, wow, that's a lot of kids, right? 14 kids, and they get a medal from Mussolini himself. He didn't really want women working early on. He said that women and machines were the two major causes of unemployment. Very sexist, very misogynistic, if you will, right? But he basically thought that if the women weren't in the workforce, that all the men would have jobs and every family would at least have a job. That way, people would not be starving to death. Eventually, that changes because when they do go to war, the women are 100% needed to work, and so they are in the factories producing the war goods and things like that. Production does increase under Mussolini. He's controlling a lot of the stuff. If not everything in Italy, production goes up, and things in Italy seem to get better. And that's why the Italians rally around this guy, right? If things weren't getting better, they would have probably killed him right away. That comes a little bit later, though, right? So right away, he does get Italy back in order. I guess they're running much more smoothly than before. The strikes in because if there are strikes, he puts them to death and all that kind of stuff. So he's an authoritarian or totalitarian ruler, which is what we learned about last week. So I hope you understand that part. I have a brief assignment for you. Make sure you answer these questions, get them all right, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.